I'm Jay Taylor. I'm editor of Jay Taylor's Gold Energy and Tech Stocks. I'm also the host of a radio show called Turning Hard Times into Good Times. I'm here at the Metals Investor Forum. It's November 9th, 2018. I'm really pleased to be here once again with Chris Taylor. It's always great to talk to people who are having a great deal of success. It's always a more cheerful discussion. Chris, I'm glad that we could talk again today.
Thanks very much, Jay. Good to see you.
You know, we talked about a month and a half ago, I suppose it was, and the stock has sort of stabilized since then. Not a lot of news since then, I suppose, although you did raise some money.
Yeah.
A little bit of far less than what the market wanted to provide for you.
Yeah.
But you did raise some money. But maybe just to go over the story again for people that might not, I can't imagine too many people in this that follow this sector aren't aware of your story, but for those outside, those new people that may be wanting to come into the gold mining sector,
Yeah.
thinking about it, what got me interested in your stock, I heard the story here a year ago or so at the Metals Investor Forum, was the consistent hits. Almost every drill hole you put down hit gold mineralization. And then the stock wasn't really responding too much to that for a while, but then you hit some numbers that are off the charts in terms of grades over good widths.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit. You're a structural geologist, and I believe that's. I know you're modest and you don't like to take a lot of. You like to give credit to other people on your team, and I'm sure that's true. How do you talk to us about structure? Because I think hitting that structure. I mean, it has to be something to do with your structural analysis. So what is it that allowed you to hit, I mean, what did you see that allowed you to hit time after time after time to hit mineralization? And then if you could talk to us a little bit about the structure that has to do with these high grades.
Yeah. Okay. I'm happy to do that. So the first thing that lets us hit again and again and again is that it's unusually consistently gold mineralized. And that is just a feature of the project. So we could have been complete buffoons and taken drill rigs and aimed it at that very planar feature that has gold in it. And just about every drill hole would probably hit gold, right? So what we've done this is what our thinking caps on, was analyze the historic data and our own and figure out that there are indeed these nice high-grade, repeating, steeply plunging high-grade zones within that contact. And that's what's made the difference with the project since we became involved. And, you've had some of these very good drill intercepts that you alluded to are based on predictions that we had based on where gold should be concentrated, based on folding of that feature that we were talking about, that contact. And indeed, we predicted there would be a fold hinge and that there would be grade enrichment. And when we went and drilled it, that's what we found.
Yeah, that's what you found.
So,
can you give the viewers some sense of the size of this target? What do you know about the structure so far in terms of its size?
we really have two main targets now. And this is why I think potentially we've seen a good market response to our story in the last several months. There was the original structure, which is maybe 10 kilometers long, extending from the highway down to the area that we're drilling. And that's the Dixie Limb structure is what we call it. That one is the one that has consistent gold hits along it. We also found that related to the big regional folds, the fold axis of that big 20 to 30 kilometer regional scale fold, it's actually one of the reasons we staked the project the way we did was to control that fold hinge. And as it turns out, by drill testing that hinge, we've generated the South Limb Zone hits, which included either 10 meters of 18 grams or a couple meters of 100 grams, however you want to describe it, and the Hinge Zone stuff, which is, like you said, 7 meters of 68 grams or 16 meters of 26 or this kind of stuff. So they seem to line up very consistently along this big regional fold axis, and that target really defines something that could be several kilometers long.
Wow.
We see it as a several kilometer long system that cuts across the other one. So really you're looking at two large gold bearing structures on the project, both of which are highly prospective. And I should mention there are other structures that we have not even tested yet, which have all the same characteristics of those, and they are still pending in terms of being able to hit them.
That's really exciting. So, all right, so you've learned I mean, it seems like maybe in some respects that it might be an easier thing to drill than a lot of other projects you've worked on in the past.
It can be, yeah.
I mean, now that you sort of cracked the code, as it were, or figured out structure and what might run, I mean, you hit it, tested it, and it worked.
Yeah.
What are your plans going forward now? You've got enough money. You don't, and what's beautiful, and I didn't mention this, is it's only 37 million shares or something like
Correct,
that.
yeah.
I mean, that's just wonderful as a shareholder. I love it.
It's very deliberate on our part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, a lot of people try, but they don't hit early in their drilling campaigns, and you were able to do that.
Yeah.
So going forward now, with all the money you need at this stage, at least for the foreseeable future, what are your plans?
Well, we have already announced that we're going to do a 30,000 meter drill program, about 150 drill holes roughly, if you think a couple hundred meters a hole or somewhere in that range. But you notice that the last placement that we did, which we're going to be closing shortly, brings in another $3.5 million. Well, why did we do that? Well, part of that is obviously it's supportive of valuation, it protects our shareholders. Another one is that we want to upscale the work even further. Based on what we're seeing in the drilling and what we've got out, we really do think that there should be a more aggressive program. But that original 30,000 meter program would only cost us about $5 million, and there's about 15 million in the treasury.
Wonderful.
So theoretically, we could do maybe 80,000 to 90,000 meters of drilling. That would be 400 to 500 holes without going back to the market. So the idea was to be more than sufficiently funded to do what we were planning over the short term and to be able to massively increase that scale, all without issuing any more stock. And that's the position that we're sitting in today.
Could you talk a little bit about the structure, your equity structure, who owns the company? There's only 37 million shares out.
Yep, management owns a good chunk, certainly what would we be at? Somewhere around 10 to 15%, I believe. Rob McEwen of Goldcorp fame, the fellow that was responsible for the previous major discovery in the Red Lake District, he owns about 15 or so percent of the company. So he's a major shareholder. And then we have, getting involved with us at this time, there'll be a number of gold funds as well that are interested in being shareholders going forward. So the rest of it is retail distribution.
And what should we be looking forward to in the next several weeks? Any news forthcoming?
Well, I think some of the messages that we would like to relay would be based on similarities between what we're seeing on the project and some of the major mines that are in the district. Certainly, the more work that we do, the more that we're seeing similarities to those deposits, and then basically just a lot of drill results. So if you're interested in high-grade, near-surface, just off the highway gold results in a major mining camp. Maybe if you're not familiar with Great Bear yet, it might be the kind of thing that you'd be interested in having a look at.
How many drill rigs do you have on the project?
It's one right now, although there are plans to upscale that to two as soon as we have everything, all of our ducks in a row.
Yeah, well, it's a wonderful story, Chris. I don't know what else to ask you except I think it's...
Thanks, Jay.
So it usually is a lot more concerns than we have with your story at this stage anyway. So thank you very much for your time.
Oh, I just look forward to producing more numbers and getting the story out further.
Especially if their numbers anything like the past. I think you're wise not to try to raise too much money right now and do it at a lot higher price later, hopefully.
Thank you.
As a shareholder, I'm delighted. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Jay. Very good to see you again.
Likewise.